World events in 1809. America. Illinois Territory created. The Illinois Territory was established on February 3rd, signifying a further expansion of the United States westward. Robert Fulton patents the steamboat. On February 11th, Robert Fulton received a patent for his steamboat, a significant invention that would revolutionize transportation. Mary Dixon Kies receives first patent granted to a woman. On May 5th, Mary Dixon Kies became the first woman to receive a patent from the United States Patent and Trademark Office for her weaving technique. Death of Meriwether Lewis. Meriwether Lewis, the co-leader of the Lewis and Clark expedition, died under mysterious circumstances along the Natchez Trace in Tennessee. Britain. Peninsular War. The British faced the French in Spain, with the Battle of Girona being a significant event. Battle of the Basque Roads. The Royal Navy achieved a victory over a French fleet. Treaty of the Dardanelles. Britain and the Ottoman Empire signed this treaty. New Royal Theatre at Covent Garden. This theatre, replacing the one destroyed by fire, opened in London. The Old Price Riots. These riots were sparked by increased ticket prices at Covent Garden. Theatre Royal, Drury Lane. In 1809, the Theatre Royal, Drury Lane, a renowned London theatre, was destroyed by fire on February 24th. The Quarterly Review. The Quarterly Review was a literary and political periodical founded in March 1809 by London publishing house John Murray. Robert Fulton. In 1809, Robert Fulton received a patent for his steamboat invention. Matthew Boulton. In 1809, Matthew Boulton, a prominent English manufacturer and business partner of James Watt, died at the age of 80. Meikle ferry disaster. On August 16, 1809, in clear weather conditions, the overloaded ferry capsized and 99 people died. Construction of Bell Rock Lighthouse. In 1809, significant progress was made on the Bell Rock Lighthouse construction. France. Franco-Austrian War. Austria, seeking to recover territories lost in previous wars, declared war on France. France and its allies, including the Kingdom of Italy, the Confederation of the Rhine, and the Duchy of Warsaw, fought against Austria. The Treaty of Schönbrunn in December 1809 ended the war, with France annexing the Illyrian provinces, ceding Salzburg to Bavaria and West Galicia to the Duchy of Warsaw and Tarnopol to Russia. Spain. Siege of Girona. The Third Siege of Girona lasted from May 6th to December 12th, highlighting the strategic importance of the city. French control. French forces continued to exert significant control over Spain, leading to the retreat of the Spanish Central Junta to Cadiz. Guerrilla Warfare. The War of Independence saw the rise of Spanish guerrilla forces who, along with the British under Wellington, resisted the French occupation. Central Junta dissolution. The Supreme Central Junta of Spain, faced with the loss of territory to French forces, dissolved itself on January 29, 1810, and established a 5-member Council of Regency. Siege of Saragossa. The Siege of Saragossa, Zaragoza, was a brutal affair, with the city's defense by the Army of Reserve and civilians resulting in significant casualties on both sides. Talavera. The Battle of Talavera, fought on July 27th to 28th, was a significant engagement where a combined British and Spanish force faced the French. Portugal. Second French invasion. In 1809, France, under Marshal Soult, launched a second invasion of Portugal, aiming to conquer the country. Battle of Porto, May 12th. Following a successful French occupation of Porto in March, British forces, along with Portuguese reinforcements, surprised Soult's troops at Oporto and drove the French back out of the country. This victory was crucial for the Allied cause in the Peninsular War. Battle of Braga, March 20th. The French forces achieved a decisive victory over the Portuguese at Braga, highlighting the poor discipline and readiness of the Portuguese militia. Siege of Chaves, March. The French captured Fort São Francisco and the town of Chaves in March, but the fort was later recaptured by Portuguese forces. Battle of Monterrey, March 6th to 7th. This battle, fought in Spain, resulted in a French victory and took place in the early stages of Soult's second invasion. Italy. Battle of Raab. Franco-Italian forces, under Eugene de Beauharnais, defeated the Austrians at Raab, now Drury, Hungary, on June 14th. This battle was crucial in preventing Austrian reinforcements from reaching Archduke Charles in time for the Battle of Wagram. Battle of Wagram. The Kingdom of Italy's army, commanded by Eugene, participated in the decisive Battle of Wagram, which resulted in a French victory. Franco-Italian Offensive. In April 1809, Franco-Italian forces launched an offensive, investing Austrian positions in the Tramigna Valley. Annexation of the Papal States. Napoleon I annexed the Papal States in May 1809, making Rome part of the French Empire. Excommunication of Pope Pius VII. Pope Pius VII excommunicated Napoleon. He was imprisoned by Napoleon Bonaparte for a period of 5 years at Savona. Turkey. Treaty of Schönbrunn, January 5th. This treaty ended the Anglo-Turkish War, which had been ongoing since 1807. The war was a part of the Napoleonic Wars, where Britain sought to protect its interests in the Mediterranean while the Ottoman Empire was allied with France. Sultan Mahmud II's reforms. Sultan Mahmud II's reign was marked by a series of reforms aimed at strengthening the Ottoman Empire. These reforms included attempts to modernize the army and address the Janissaries, a powerful military corps that resisted change. Anglo-Turkish War. The war with Britain was a significant event, reflecting the broader conflict in Europe and the Ottomans' complex relationships with other powers. Iran. Anglo-Iranian Treaty. The treaty, signed in March 1809, aimed to establish a British alliance with Iran to counter the growing Russian influence in the region. However, the treaty's effectiveness was limited, and Iran's focus remained on the Russian threat. India. In 1809, a key event in Indian history was the signing of the Treaty of Amritsar on April 25th. This treaty, between the British East India Company and Maharaja Ranjit Singh of the Sikh Kingdom of Punjab, aimed to secure the Sutlej River as a boundary and prevent Ranjit Singh from expanding his influence to the east. China. Pirate Kai Qian. Kai Qian, a prominent pirate, was surrounded by the Qing Navy and committed suicide. Han Chinese population in Taiwan. The Han Chinese population in Taiwan reached 1,944,000, with 70% residing in the south. U.S.-China trade. A report from the East India Company at London mentioned the increasing U.S. trade with China as a deeply irritating neutral trade. Japan. In 1809, a notable event in Japan's history was the completion of the chief factor's quarters in Nagasaki, according to the official Dojima website. This period, part of the Edo period, 1603 to 1868, saw a continuation of Japan's relatively isolationist policy, limiting interactions with foreign powers primarily through the port of Nagasaki. Korea. Kigyeong famine, 1809 to 1810. A severe drought resulted in a major famine, leading to the deaths of a significant portion of the population. Volcanic eruption. A volcanic eruption in 1809, although the specific volcano is not named, contributed to the overall climate anomalies and drought experienced in Korea. Australia. Official appointment of Lachlan Macquarie. Lachlan Macquarie was officially appointed as Governor of New South Wales on May 8, 1809. He was given the commission, which included instructions to reinstate Bligh temporarily upon his arrival. William Paterson acted as caretaker governor until Macquarie's appointment took effect on January 1, 1810. Establishment of the first post office. The first post office in Sydney was established on April 25, 1809, with Isaac Nichols, a former convict, serving as the first postmaster. He took control of mail distribution within the colony and set up the post office in his home. Africa. Hottentot Proclamation. The Earl of Caledon, the governor of the Cape Colony, issued the Hottentot Proclamation, which required Khoikhoi, a people group, to have fixed residences and restricted their movement without written permission. Drought and Xhosa expansion. A severe drought occurred in the eastern frontier area, and more Xhosa clans pushed westward into the neutral zone between the Sundays and Great Fish Rivers. British troops were sent in. Dingiswayo's rule. Dingiswayo, formerly Gogongwana, assumed chieftainship from his brother and began his autocratic rule of the Amamthethwa people. Egypt. Publication of Description de l'Egypte. The first volumes of this monumental work, documenting the scientific expedition to Egypt, were published, contributing to the growing European interest in Egyptian antiquities and culture. Canada. Nelson's Column. The foundation of Nelson's Column, a monument honoring Admiral Horatio Nelson, was laid in Montreal on August 17, 1809. Steamboat accommodation. John Molson's steamboat, Accommodation, set sail from Montreal on November 3, 1809, and reached Quebec City on November 6 after a 36-hour journey. The Accommodation was the second steamboat in America and possibly the world. Tecumseh and the Prophet's Campaign. Tecumseh, a Shawnee chief, and his brother, the Prophet Tenskwatawa, initiated a campaign from 1809 to 1811 to unite tribes in the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and Southeast against the United States. This effort culminated in the Battle of Tippecanoe in 1811, where the Prophet's forces were defeated. Fort Gibraltar. The Northwest Company constructed Fort Gibraltar in 1809. Mexico. Conspiracy of Valladolid. This secret movement, primarily involving Criollo military officers, aimed to create a temporary government in Mexico City to maintain stability in the face of Napoleon Bonaparte's occupation of Spain. The conspirators intended to rule in the name of Ferdinand VII, who had been removed from the Spanish throne by Napoleon. Unrest and economic hardships. While Mexico City itself remained relatively stable in 1809, other regions of the Viceroyalty experienced increasing unrest. This was fueled by disruptions in manufacturing and a poor harvest, leading to an economic slowdown and famine in areas like the Bajío. Argentina. Mutiny of Alzaga. This failed attempt to overthrow Viceroy Liniers, led by merchant Martín de Alzaga, was crushed by the local militia led by Cornelio Saavedra. Liniers' replacement. The Spanish government, influenced by the French invasion of Spain, replaced Liniers with Cisneros, a commander who had fought against the French in Spain. Mariano Moreno's representation of the Hacendados. The lawyer Mariano Moreno wrote The Representation of the Hacendados, an economic essay that convinced Cisneros to maintain the free foreign trade. His arguments led to some concessions from the viceroy. Opening of the port of Buenos Aires. Under Cisneros, the port of Buenos Aires was briefly opened to foreign trade, a step towards increased trade and economic integration. Brazil. In 1809, Brazilian and Portuguese forces conquered French Guiana during the Napoleonic Wars. This action was a direct result of Prince Regent John's, later King John VI, decision to retaliate against being forced into exile and to consolidate Portuguese power in the region. Cuba. Separatist movements. The political turmoil in Europe, including Napoleon's invasion of Spain and the removal of Ferdinand VII, fueled a desire for independence among some Cubans, particularly the Creole elite. This led to separatist conspiracies and rebellions, starting in 1809 and 1810. Joaquín Infante. He organized the first independence conspiracy in 1809, further demonstrating the growing separatist sentiment in Cuba. U.S. interest. Thomas Jefferson, the U.S. president at the time, expressed a strong interest in acquiring Cuba and attempted to purchase it from Spain in 1809. This reflected a growing U.S. ambition to expand its territory in the Caribbean. Foreign trade restrictions. Spanish royal orders in 1809 prohibited foreign commerce with Spanish-American ports, including Cuba, which would likely have had a significant impact on the island's trade and economy. Sweden. Coup of 1809. On March 13th, a coup led by military officials deposed King Gustav IV Adolf, who was seen as incompetent, and his policies were seen as leading to the disastrous Finnish War. Finnish War. The war between Sweden and Russia, which began in 1808, resulted in the Treaty of Frederikshamn in September 1809. Loss of Finland. As a consequence of the war and the treaty, Sweden ceded Finland to Russia, which became the autonomous Grand Duchy of Finland. New constitution. Following the coup, the Riksdag, Swedish parliament, established a new constitution and elected Duke Charles of Sweden as the new king, Charles XIII, on June 5th. Instrument of government. The new constitution, called the Instrument of Government, was adopted on June 6th and laid the foundation for a more limited monarchy in Sweden. Exile of Gustav IV Adolf. Gustav IV Adolf and his family left Sweden for Germany in December. Thailand. In 1809 in Thailand, then Siam, King Rama I died and was succeeded by his son, Prince Sarasantan, who became King Rama II. The Burmese-Siamese War, also known as the Burmese invasion of the Lang, was in progress throughout 1809. The conflict centered around the control of Phuket Island and the tin-rich Andaman coast. We hope you have enjoyed watching the video. Thank you.